Hi, my name's John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. I've turned the camera around, so instead of looking at that big sign in the door, we're looking at my steam engines behind us. Just something different to look at. In this Sunday's nightcap, I do some work on a BSA Bantam crankshaft. Anybody that knows all about two-stroke Bantams and know what stuffer plates are, or baffle plates. Anyway, I do it modified, but I make some baffle plates for a crank and I fasten them in by welding instead of by screws or rivets, or welding them. I do think it'll come loose. Anyway, I'd like to have a look at the video, see exactly what you think. There's only going to be one nightcap tonight, just the one short one. I haven't done a great lot in the workshop this week, but I have had Bob up, and Bob finished off that DTI that was started 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that DTI is actually the one that's going to be given away in this Sunday's giveaway, so 2 birds with 1 stone, I suppose. Anyway, that's enough talk, let's get on with it. This is a crankshaft of a BSA Bantam. I'm not sure what model Bantam it is. It's a 2-stroke engine. On a 2-stroke engine, you have basically 2 compression strokes. There's a one in the cylinder of your fuel air mixture that gives you your power. There's also one in the crankcase, which compresses the fuel air mixture and pushes it up the transfer ports into the cylinder. Underneath here, there's a void, like a casting void, to balance the crank. Now, this has got what I call a baffle plate or a stuffer plate, one each side, to decrease the volume in the crankcase so you actually get a higher compression. I remember racing go-karts years and years ago, and we would fill every little space possible to try and get more crankcase pressure. Now this baffle plate on here, it's had a bit of a miserable life. It's loose, it's not good. The rivets are loose. I mean, can you imagine that coming out inside that crankcase? It would destroy the engine. I've had a little look online, and there's various methods of repairing these. One method is to weld them. Modern TIG welding gear, I can put TIG welds on there with a dissimilar rod, and it just won't give any problem. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and take it apart. I mean, it's falling to bits. Get this off, see how thick it is, find a bit of metal, and I'll cut one out on the plasma table and then machine it to size. And I think I will weld it around the outside, not everywhere, probably 6 welds. Well, on the other side, that one is the way it's supposed to be. That's still quite intact, but this one certainly isn't. So we'll get it apart and then basically go from there. You see it's had centre pop marks around there, it's just a mess. And this really is a proper mess. See, the rivets are kind of loose. I'd like to drill some of these out. I'm not quite sure, but they need to come out. At least the rivets are nice and soft. Right. Right, so you can see that's the part I'm trying to fill in, or trying to seal off. Rather filthy in there as well. Yeah, I've had several goes at this. all I've done is clean this up basically with a wire wheel just to get the flash of it, and it's a pretty good fit actually. It's slightly thicker. This is 2mm and the original was 1.3. I don't think it'll make a great lot of difference. I'm not quite sure how much actual tolerance there is, but it's certainly a good fit. And I just intend putting a few stitch welds on the outside to hold it in place. I think I'll do the other side one as well because the other side plate is actually loose. I need to make sure I can get away with it being slightly thicker. Need to get a wire wheel in here and get all this shite cleaned out of it. Very happy with that, very happy indeed. I'm going to get some thinner material. I'm looking at the other side. I've cut some plates out of some thinner material, some 1.2, the same as what was originally on, and that's looking pretty good. All it wants is a little bit off the outside edge and it should fit on there quite nicely. That hole there is a really good fit on the boss on the crankshaft. That's as cut, it's just been touched with a wire wheel to take the rust off because it was old material. There's a little blemish there, nothing really. So I'll give it a very, very light sand on the outside edge and then we'll try it again. Right, that's fitting in nice, so happy with that. And we'll go and weld it, I think. Need to make sure that there's no bits on there sticking up proud. Give us a good clean up with a wire brush in there, and then we can put it together. These are both steel, and the rod I'm using is a 309 stainless rod, which is for welding to similar metals, just to make sure this stuff will go in anything. I'm putting very little filler wire in. All we're getting is just a real nice tack. With a really good earth on it. Bring the camera in a little bit closer so I can get an arc shot, but I'm really happy with the way that's going into there. That's going nowhere, that. On Wednesday, catch up, I showed the steam boiler when I give it the hydraulic test and it has a leaking tube. I've decided I'm going to repair it, so I'm going to cut the centre flow out, get a bit of proper tubing, and I'm going to get it welded in by a coded welder. I've got that much, well, not that much money invested into it. I've got a bit of money into it, and it's a shame not to use it because it's such a nice thing. So that's what's going to be happening in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. once again, just like to say thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all the letters coming in, basically regarding how I'm feeling. I must admit, I'm feeling a lot better. I have good days and bad days. I try and focus on positive things I want to do. Trying not to let the sort of demons get inside my head. Anybody that's having sort of horrible thoughts, it really is important that you go and get help. I keep banging on about this, but if me mentioning this, and it's not hard to mention, being as I'm meant to be a big, rough, tough Geordie, makes one person go and seek help, it's going to be worthwhile. Anyway, thanks for watching.